So we have a project. We have a project, we call it OM Champion Project.
Dans le paquet, il n'est pas signalé en jaune face à Joël Max et ça va être le but de Chris Waller. But de Waller, 1-0 pour l'Olympique de Marseille.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Marseille View where we debrief the previous Marseille game that happens the day before. And today, probably against all expectations of the Marseille fans, I know everyone's probably had a quite a rough night last night and probably morning as well. But against all expectations, we're going to try to keep this podcast on the happy tune. I'm sure the rants from our speakers are gonna come very soon. But I personally found yesterday's game quite laughable and pretty much another day at the office. So we'll probably get into a lot of the actions where it all went wrong for Marseille. Marseille lost 4-0 to PSG away. I personally predicted a 3-0 defeat last week, but the other speakers actually predicted a draw. So they can explain themselves in today's podcast as to why they were so wrong. And after we talk a little bit about the PSG game, we can, I guess, discuss some things about the upcoming games that are probably going to look like a giant to surmount, and some news around that. Okay, so let's go straight into the game. So I'm going to introduce our speakers. So today, let's start with the person who was not there last week. So we've got Ed for today. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm alright, mate. Just disappointed about last night.
Yeah, difficult one, isn't it?
Pretty horrific. I'm lost for words, really. I mean, there's been a lot of gutless performances by this team in the Classic, but this was just shocking.
I mean, it's nothing they haven't gotten us used to. It's our third defeat of the season in what, 11 games?
Yeah, but this was just gutless because Icardi and Mbappe just basically ran us round like if it was a disco floor. You know, we looked terrible. We looked sluggish. None of those players, bar Mandanda, really put in a performance I could say, yeah, you tried hard. Jaman couldn't score. I don't know where Benedetto was. I think Benedetto was still stuck on the coach.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll probably get into the players a little bit. I think we'll probably have a lot to say. Definitely don't agree with that. Don't agree with that, but we can talk a little bit about that. And our second speaker today is Ben, who was in the London bar representing all the OM fans in England. How was it last night?
Well, I wouldn't say all the OM fans in England, but yeah, there were easily between 40 and 50 of us last night, and to have organised that and summoned so many people to such a fucking shit show, I felt embarrassed, to be honest. But you know, it is what it is. You can't control the performances on the pitch, and I guess we all met up and we all had a good time. And that's what matters at the end of the day. But yeah, it's a shit show. It was a shit show.
I mean, even though yesterday is probably not the best advertisement for the London group, I'll do a little bit of a sponsorship for our local OM Nation London group, or should I not call it OM Nation anymore? The Marseille supporters from London usually go to the games on Sundays whenever the game's on at the number one bar in London Bridge, just outside London Bridge Station. So we usually gather about, how many is it, Ben? Usually about 10 people, 15 people for the games. But yesterday it was 50 people, so I definitely encourage people to come if they want to just, have a drink with some other Marseille fans. Whether you're French or English, there's a good mixture there, and it's quite a good atmosphere, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, last night, it was quite good last night because I get on well with the bar manager anyway, but he, like 10 minutes before the game, he put some OM chants on the speakers, so everybody was sort of chanting and jumping up and down, so it was, yeah, that didn't last very long, but yeah, it's good. We have a good group of people. There's a core group of people, 10, 15, that show up very regularly, and then there's a lot of stragglers that come for the big games, but all are welcome, and you can bring kids and you can bring your wife if she's up for it. Probably not.
Hey, I don't know. I brought my girlfriend a couple of times. She enjoyed it.
Yeah, so it's all good, but on the night last night, nobody enjoyed it. So
Yeah, all right. So, well, let's talk about last night. So, 4-0 defeat. Probably could have been more, like Ed mentioned. A lot of saves by Mandanda. I had a look at the statistics of this game because I wanted to kind of dwell before looking at watching the game again in its entirety. I wanted to look at the stats and how we performed, and I think if you didn't watch the game and you look at just the stats, you would be foolishly mistaken because there was two completely different games split a bit in the half. And when you actually look at the statistics, yes, we got dominated in terms of position, but you're like, oh, we've had the same amount of shots. The dribbles won were the same, the tackles made were about similar. So you think, all right, so maybe PSG were a bit more clinical, but it was overall 50-50 affair. But that's clearly not what the game actually was. The game was done and dusted at halftime. Before halftime, it was 4-0 at the 30th minute, and then PSG just sat back and were very happy to just coast on through. To which we couldn't even score. To PSG's basically decided to stop playing for 60 minutes, and we still didn't manage to score.
well, we didn't create, and that's our problem.
Yeah,
for all of our games.
I'll give you the talking stick first, Ben, if you want. So, what did you think about yesterday's game? I don't know if you want to. I'll give you the floor. What do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? I foolishly predicted a draw last week, and I think what happened. My two main takeaways as an overall commentary is PSG are a class above when they turn on the style. If you look at numbers at this beginning of this season, Mbappe's come back from injuries on fire. Di Maria, everything he touches is just gold at the minute. So he was just picking our defence apart with beautifully weighted pass after beautifully weighted pass. He got 2 assists, I think. The guy's on fire. And when you give him time on the ball and space to pick a pass, he is their playmaker. He is going to create chances, and they're going to score loads of goals with those front two. So that's the main takeaway. The second takeaway is, I don't want to bash Villas-Boas, but I'm going to be critical of him. He tried something which for me reminds me of what Garcia did when we went away to Monaco, and he put out a fucking disgraceful team sheet, and we got battered 6-1. And I think we were 4-0 down at half time in that game as well, or 4-1 down. And yeah, AVB got it wrong. He got it wrong.
Yes.
He got it wrong. We played a high line, which is fucking suicide against Mbappe. You cannot be doing that.
Ben, welcome to the AVB skeptical, AVB hating club. Welcome.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him, but he fucked it up. He got it wrong last night. That defeat, bar the performances of the players, which was substandard for a lot of them, and there was no fight. But tactically, it was just the complete wrong thing to do away at the Parc des Princes.
Well, I'll at least give you an honorary appearance at the AVB hating club. You gave a little speech. Gave a lecture to all the initiates about how awful AVB is. But we'll probably stop it then and wait for my turn. But Ed, what did you think about yesterday's game?
Ugh, shocking, just shocking. We've seen a lot of the classics where you're going to get battered or it's not going to look pretty. That was just weak. None of them tried. None of them gave an ounce of effort bar the goalkeeper. For as far as I'm concerned, where was the team? We might as well just stuck 11 waxworks and put Marseille shirts on them because that's how good half of them were. We might as well just turned around the coach when we saw Mbappe with the ball, or when Icardi was with the ball, or Di Maria. Because we were hopeless. Absolute crap.
Yeah, but did any of the you mentioned a lot of the players. When you look at the game, did any of the players particularly disappoint you, or did any of them particularly look out of character? Because for me, it was consistent.
It was consistently shit. I'll give you that. Payet was garbage. Payet should not be near the starting 11. Strootman and Sanson were about as effective as a chocolate teapot.
Lopez started, didn't he?
Shit.
Dawson was on the bench, yeah.
Okay, Lopez was shit. Did Ronche start?
Yeah. So it was Ronche, Strootman and Lopez. I'm not sure if you can see the team sheet on on the YouTube sections, on the YouTube video, you'll probably see the team sheet as advertised by Marseille. I don't think you guys can see it.
Well, it was a diabolical trio anyway, and the defence was just useless. It was just like a gate. Just, there you go, there you go, there you go. We witnessed a lot of defeats, but it was just weak. They showed no fight. They showed no effort. I don't know. We can all... Excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cough. We can all say that, Villas-Boas, he needs time, But come on, mate.
He's got
Seriously,
time.
You play that team...
Well, we're 10 games in now. He's had time.
He's had time, and he's had a whole pre-season.
Yeah, it's time to start picking up the stones and start throwing them again. I thought it was just shocking. Decisions were Garcia-esque in stupidity.
Yeah.
You play free in a midfield against Paris, and you play guns blazing in the first half, and you get ransacked 4-0, and then you turn around and say, well, it's not going well, lads. We're 4-0 down. We're not going to get a point. Let's just park the bus. And you get a 0-0. Why wasn't this strategy at the start? We got a point out of these 3 years ago. We got a point. But we can't think. We cannot think, okay, we're not going to win. Let's be realistic. Let's park the bus. I couldn't care less if we played 90 minutes hoofing the ball left, right and centre out into the Paris area. What the friggin' hell was that?
Yeah, there's some kids screaming out my window.
Yeah, anyway, there was I couldn't care less as long as we got a point. But no, they decided, just do what you want. That was his mentality.
Yeah, it was pretty shambolic, to be honest. So I think we'll probably go into the line-by-line analysis of the players. Just before that, I'll probably give my 2 cents on what I thought. Everyone probably knows where I'm about to go.
Go on, bash him, go on.
Go on, have another hit.
Okay, you know what? I'll start with the good sides. There's 2 things where I'll give Villas-Boas some credit for. The first one is I agree to a certain extent that there were a lot of individual mistakes made by the players. Germain missed a very good chance. Benedetto, even though he was a bit alone a lot of the game, he did have a couple of interesting touches in their half, and tried to be a little bit too cute with the ball. Payet was nowhere to be seen. He was supposed to be the savior after being out for 4 games. That's who everyone was waiting for. Everyone was saying we lack creativity in the final third, and he will bring us that. And clearly he's left that at the McDonald's. But that's the one.
Whilst we're on that point, is it me or did he look 10 kilos heavier last night?
I'm not sure. I was trying to think about that actually. I'm not sure if it's his weight or if it's his haircut.
So also, it's all those French tacos.
Either way, he was wank.
Yeah, he was wank.
Yeah,
so I'll give him a little for that. Like, you can have a really great tactic if the players let you down. At the end of the day, you can't go on the pitch out for them. So yeah. And the second
he was
thing,
short of rhythm as well. But there you go.
And the second thing I'll give him off for that is basically maintaining and putting his foot down during the French media, who are trying every 6 months to hype up this game as Le Classique. And he said, like, this is just any other game now. There's no rivalry between these 2 teams anymore. And even after the game, he got bashed by the Canal Plus for saying, he took this game not like what it is, not like the big event of the year that it is. But truth is, and he's right, this is not a big event anymore. They've made a point of saying in the last 4 seasons, there's an average of 26 points difference between Marseille and PSG at the end of each season. We haven't won there in 11 years. We haven't won in total in 8 years. So there's no rivalry anymore, so I agree with that. But, and this is where I'm going to bash him, his tactics was nothing short of suicidal. It was I'll recommend everyone to read an article that I retweeted this afternoon. It's called From Behind the Post. He was analysing the formation and the tactics of Villas-Boas, who basically he showed that he played a 4-5-1 with Lopez and Rongier playing very, very far up the pitch to pressure Marquinhos and Herrera. But what it did is that it left Strootman completely alone to manage Mbappe, Icardi and Di Maria. And we played very, very far up the pitch to the point where we're playing basically our defenders on the halfway line with Kamara, Chaitatsar and Sakai, who are famous for not being able to defend against the through balls against basically probably two of the best players in the world at deep football and at through balls. IVB just said, you know what, we're going to press them very high, but not taking into account for the weaknesses of his players. And it's like you're handing the ball to Verratti and to Herrera, who are one of the best in Europe at being playmakers, and to pass the ball to Mbappe, Icardi and Di Maria, who you give them 20 meters of space, and you basically play a one-on-one against Sakai and Bouna. What did you think was going to happen? And when it's 3-0 in the 25th minute, you don't make any changes? Really? This is what we sacked Garcia for? This is what we've been raving on about Villas Boas, who's led us to being 7th in the league, in one of the most mediocre League Ones that I've seen in my entire life? Really? This is the guy you guys are raving about?
No, put into perspective that yes, we're 7th, but we're still only 3 points off second place. So that may become
we're 5 points away from relegation too. You can spin it like that.
But it may become a valid point in the weeks to come where we may find ourselves further behind. But
Ben, stop kissing his arse.
I'm not.
Ben, for goodness' sake, have you seen the table? We are close to relegation than PSG. We're still 3 points behind, but let's face it, we ain't going to beat Lille. We ain't going to beat Lyon. We are currently to the relegation zone. We are 5 points behind. We drop 2 games and the other team behind us win. We're fucked. We're going to be in the relegation zone. And you're all saying, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Well, it isn't yet. But it could be in 3 weeks. In 2 weeks, it could be very bad.
What are you two doing? Walking through the port of Marseille, hand in hand, throwing rose petals at each other, singing, everything's not going my way. Oh, what a beautiful morning.
It was bad. I watch Arsenal over here quite a bit. It felt like watching Arsenal away from home under Arsene Wenger in his last season, where he would set up like this. He'd go to places like Wolverhampton or Leicester, completely underestimate them, ignore what they were doing and think, right, we're going to play my tactic because that's the way we play. We're going to press them. We're going to try and play the same way away from home as we do at home. You can't fucking approach big games like that.
Wait,
against teams like that.
This could be very important for from a medical standpoint. For your mental health, are you telling us that you support Marseille and Arsenal?
Oh, Jesus.
I fear for your mental health.
The cat's out the bag now. Yeah, but fortunately, I support Green Bay Packers and they're doing pretty well, mate. So you can look at Dallas and you can cry as well. That's fine.
Yeah, come on, Lucas. You support the Cowboys. Sit down. You've got.
I am asking for asylum. After supporting the French rugby team, Marseille, and the Dallas Cowboys, I'd rather move on from that.
All you need is Daniel Ricciardo in the Formula 1 if you got it perfect.
Right. So let's move on from the general impressions. I think we've talked in length about what we thought about the game overall. Let's move line by line and player by player. So just from tradition, we're going to start with the goalkeeper, Steve Mandanda, who did let in four goals, but conceded, well, basically managed to power away 6 other shots on targets, and they were not easy shots to save. I mean, he pulled out 4 or 5 worldies in his game, pushing the inevitable, and finally cracked down. And even when we did crack down, he still didn't let go. So apart from his usual, I'm not sure if you've seen on Twitter his memed face after the 3rd goal, where he just looks completely disgusted by our team.
I don't blame him.
What did you think of Mandanda?
I've got 2 sentences. Very good performance. He saved our asses. It could have been 6 or 7 at half time, as far as I'm concerned. But he saved some shots that you probably would not have expected him to be able to save, and he let in goals from shots that you would probably expect him to save. So
none of the shots he could realistically save.
The first chance where he pushes the ball straight to Icardi is, that ball. It happens sometimes. That was probably the only sour note in his performance, but he kept us in the game. There's no 2 ways about it. He saved that bacon from total embarrassment.
Wasn't that total embarrassment?
Well, it could have been a lot worse. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's a point when there's no return. There's a point where conceding more goals doesn't increase the embarrassment. I think we're pretty much at the top. Otherwise, if you tell me that there's more levels of embarrassment to yesterday, tell me now and I'll stop right here. Right, Ed, what did you think?
He didn't play too bad, but he had an unenviable task. You know, trying to save shots from Messers, Icardi, and Mbappe.
I mean, he did face. They made a good point that he did face basically probably one of the best striking forces in the world at the moment.
Yeah, he didn't do too bad. I mean, it could have. If it wasn't for him, if we had Johan Pele, we would have conceded 8.
With Johan Pele, we drew 0-0.
Yeah, but they didn't have Icardi or Mbappe. They had Cavani.
We had half decent defenders as well at the time.
Yeah, and we weren't run by idiots. We still had a decent attack as well. When Turban's still there, who is on form.
You guys forget that Pele was once nicknamed Mr. Clean Sheet.
Yeah, and I was once thin, but hey, that's not happening anymore.
All right, shall we move on to the defense then? Because I don't think there's much to say. I mean, Mandanda, he was clearly the man of the match, wasn't he? I feel so bad for him, and I do fear for the future because it must be so disheartening to play such a great game against your rival. You probably he is, I think, the Marseille player the most capped in the Classique, isn't he? I think he must be up there.
He's the most. Yeah, he is. He's the most capped Marseille player ever, anyway. But...
Yeah, so it must be so disheartening to pull out a performance like that and still concede 4. I mean, I feel for the man at this point.
Well, I feel for him on that point as well. I agree, because he's been at the club a total of 10, 12 years. And
2007 he came.
How many times has he beaten them? Probably a handful, 5, 6.
Yeah.
He's just recently, for the last 6, 7 years, it's been humiliation after humiliation, and he's just. He probably goes into training the week before the game and practices picking the ball out the net because he knows it's inevitable.
He must be a pro at that though from last season.
But yeah, he's just probably able to do it a bit quicker this season.
Yeah.
Right, should we move on to the back line then?
Fitness camp.
So we played, like you said, we played a 4-5-1 with our midfielders playing very high, which left our back four very, very, very exposed. So you can't really fault them a lot in this game, but there were still some very stupid plays and mistakes made by our defense. Have you guys got a particular play in mind that you wanna pick up on for this game?
I'm not even going to bash Bouna Sarr because he's bang average and at best he's bang average. He was shit last night, and that's it. That's the commentary. Beyond his poor decisions defensively and getting arse raped by Mbappe, which is to be expected anyway. Let's face it, a lot of defenders do. But he gave him half a yard, and you can't do that. But for me, the biggest disappointment was Kamara. Just got it completely wrong. He was too far from Icardi on the first goal. His attempts to play the ball out.
He even ducked, didn't he? He ducked away.
He seemed to sort of misjudge the ball or something. But he was poor. For me, he was poor. And there comes a point where we've got to realise that we have overhyped this kid a bit. He will come good. He will be a good central defender, but he will never be world class in my eyes. Or if he will be, it won't be at Marseille because he's not going to have the environment in which to progress. He looked completely out of his depth, and that's the way it is. I think Trashico, in my eyes, had I wouldn't say a decent game, but he looked like a defender. He put in a few good tackles in the first half when he was involved and players were running at him. I don't think many players got past him in the game overall, if I remember. So he was probably the I wouldn't say the best, but the okay-ish performer in that defence. And then Sakai on the left. He puts in a shift, but it's not his natural position, and it's starting to really. The problem is we put him there to fix the problem, which was Amavi being shit, but it just creates another problem because Bouna Sarr's shit.
Yeah, but Sakai was shit as well on his own. He didn't need Bouna Sarr's help to be shit yesterday.
No, he didn't, and the whole team was shit anyway. But the main criticism of the defence is again. yes, you've got the instructions from the coach to play a high line. When you're 2-0 down after fucking 20 minutes, someone's got to take on the leadership role and say, right, guys, come on, let's try and let's sit a bit deeper. Let's stop fucking about. This is clearly not working. They're creating, and they're shooting at goal all the time. We've got to step back. We've got to sit a bit deeper, call the midfielders back, and change the system ourselves, because we're just going to get raped. And the fact that there's a lack of leadership and nobody does that, nobody has the intelligence to say, oh, fuck it, let's just go again, blindly throw ourselves into the wolves. Somebody needed to step up and say...
This is where I fault Villas-Boas.
No, it's his fault as well. No, it's completely his fault. But you see the big teams, like a team like Chelsea of old or United of old, if it wasn't going their way, Vidic or John Terry would step up and say, guys, right, let's change what we're doing. It's not working. Let's change it. Let's sit a bit deeper. Let's call the midfielders back. And that it just didn't happen. And they kept... After the second goal and the third goal, they were still pressing hard. Well, no, they weren't pressing because it was not effective at all because it was so disjointed, but they were still stepping up way too far. And it's that lack of football IQ that is really starting to piss me off about some of our players, beyond the manager's fault.
All right, what did you think, Ed, about any of those players from the back four?
Well, I've just quickly had a refresh of the highlights. Sakai, I praised the guy a lot, but last night he was shite.
He had a nightmare. The first goal...
He was awful. For a guy who I rave about and regularly say how great he is, it was bloody awful from the man who I said was the best player of the year last year. Kamara was smoked twice by Icardi, really badly, and Bunasar was just nowhere. Char didn't make any effort, really. And Bunasar, well, we know what he's like. We know how bad he is, but I don't know why we overhype Kamara. I really don't. We think he's the best French prospect at the centre-back position since Marcel Desailly. He's nowhere near Marcel Desailly level. He's not even fit to latest Marcel Desailly's boots. They were all awful. It's like they were acting like cows being herded into the slaughterhouse, about to be cut up and shaped up into steaks and all sorts of delicious goodies we all get from the supermarket. It was a joke. It was a joke of a performance at the back. I don't know what Villas-Boas has been teaching them. Obviously, it's just concede, let them go and do what you want. Well, at least we look pretty in the highlight reel.
Yeah, I mean, picking up on your point, it's true. Like it seemed like PSG didn't even have to make up a game plan. We basically identified their strong points, being the fact that their wingers are the best players, the most informed players, Di Maria and Mbappe, and we basically made it even easier for them to find space and even easier for them to do 1-2s. The amount of stupidity that our back four showed was incredible. If you go back to the first goal, Di Maria has the ball on the right wing. Literally, Di Maria is just like Robin. You know he's going to get on his left foot. You know he's going to get on his left foot. You know he's going to get on his left foot. And he does one dribble, and of course he gets on his left foot, and Sakai's covering the right foot, and he's 3 yards away from him. It's just like everyone in a stadium knew that dribble was happening on the first dribble, and Di Maria's got all the time in the world to get his body right, put that cross in, and Icardi scores easily. I mean, it's rookie childish mistakes. And when you look at Kamara, who, I'm sorry, but Kamara is praised as one of the biggest prospects in France. Is supposed to be, like in line for to apply and put his CV up to be in a future French squad. He's supposed to be.
Zubi earlier this week said he reckoned he was worth 80 million. Let's just leave that there.
Yeah.
That's what Zubi said,
When you look at it from that when you look at it from that perspective, he had a nightmare of a game. Completely looked like a deer in headlight. But when you put him in the conditions where he has to track balls 30 yards in his back, which everyone knows he's not capable of doing yet, you're not putting him in the right conditions to succeed. And Villas-Boas just basically sent his back four to the slaughterhouse.
He did. And on the final note, Di Maria, I've slated him a lot over his career. He is on fire at the minute, and he is the best player in Ligue 1 in my eyes right now. He's just walking on water. The guy, not only, as you say, you know he's going to go on his left foot, but you know he's going to put in a pinpoint cross as well. It's not like he's going to fuck up half his crosses. Every ball he got and every pass he made was decisive last night. He was cutting us apart, and fair play to him. He's a class above in this league and against us every time.
Yes. Can I also add on? I will also say Mbappe was a class above last night.
He always is. That guy's the kid's. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only player that I really admire on that side.
If you guys are gonna keep talking about this bitch, then I'm gonna stop this podcast.
No, we'll keep going. Sod it. Mate, he won your World Cup. He's that good. No, I feel that I have to admire and say, okay, it's going to be hard to stop him. I think even the world's best defenders struggle to stop Kylian Mbappe. So how the hell goes to Shah?
Well, tell me how the hell Rennes defenders, how Da Silva and Ben Sebaini.
He didn't play. Mbappe didn't play. He was injured, mate.
Thank you.
that's why.
Whatever.
That was the difference in that game.
Okay, fine. Let's move on to the midfield. So like I mentioned earlier, the how the game turned out in the midfield was our trio of Strootman playing as a number 6, and Lopez and Rongier playing very, very far up the pitch when it came to pressing very high on Marquinhos and Herrera, which left Strootman very much stranded to fight off the PSG counters. So my question to you guys is how did you think of our trio of midfield played, and did you miss Morgan Sanson?
No, and the trio was terrible. They were like a bunch of stale pastries you find in the back alley of Greg's.
But tell me, I was told that Strootman was underrated and that he was the heart and soul of the midfield.
Oh, here we go. Mate, you're just sending me covert little missiles, aren't you?
I need someone, because apparently I don't understand anything about football. So someone needs to explain to me what happened with your magic Strootman.
He's not magic.
He was never magic.
He's decent against the small teams, but he's against the big teams. He will get picked apart, especially when he's left exposed and isolated by himself.
He's no Luis Gustavo, that's for sure.
Yeah, and even Gustavo on top form would have gotten rinsed last night because our system was wrong. There was a gap. The gap was there, and we've just ranted on about how overhyped Kamara is. Well, Lopez is as well. I mean, I've said it time and time again. And I did praise him last week because I thought he was good. And I did make the commentary that this is the test of has he taken a step up or not? Is he capable of it? Well, on last night's game, not at all. Not at all. And we'll see in the next two games. And Rongier was awful. Rongier was absolutely awful.
Garbage.
All of his decision making. He ran with the ball when he should have passed it first time. He was just fucking about completely.
It's simple for Rongier. He gave the ball for the second goal. He gave the ball for the fourth goal, and he gave 2 other balls for very, very dangerous 1-on-1s against Mandanda. He could have easily escorted us 4 goals by himself.
Yeah, and I think he was a bit overeager. He was overeager to apply whatever Villas-Boas told him to do, and that's why he got caught out, because I think he got carried away, over enthusiastic, and then he just had to really, really, it's like he took a bucket of ice on his head, because they were a class above him, and he was getting rinsed by Verratti and Herrera non-stop. He was just nowhere to be seen, and it's hard to exist as it is against those players, but the way he played, he was just running on foot to the gas, and he didn't look concentrated. He just looked a bit desperate and a bit panicked.
Yeah. Ed, I'm going to ask you the question that I asked Stefan and Ben last week, where we talked about Lopez, and I asked them whether if and when Lopez had a bad performance against PSG, do you keep him on the team sheet if healthy for the next 3 games, which are big games against Monaco, Lille, and Lyon? So, what assessment do you make of Lopez's performance last night? Because he got subbed off for half time, and would you keep him on for the rest of the month?
Shocking. It was like he was playing with an anchor tied on his boots. The guy is only there because he's Marseille born, and he will portray him as the great prospect who's going to be playing for the top European clubs in 5 or 6 years' time. I mean, you hear every newspaper say, "Oh, this guy's going to Barcelona. This guy's going here." You can't even play well against the PSG. What chance you got against Barca? What chance you got against Juve? And as for the question of whether I'd keep him aside, would I bollock? I would send him to the stands and think about what he's done, because his
But what
performances.
alternatives do we have?
Well, I don't know.
Sanson, exactly. So
I
that's it. That's why he's playing. Yes, he's from Marseille, but the fact is, our squad is bare. There is no alternative. So we've got to play the players we've got, and they are average.
Play
That's
the
it.
kids. Play the kids for crying
He is
out
a
loud.
kid. He is a kid.
He's an overgrown kid. Grown kid.
He looked like he stopped growing a few years ago, actually. But
He stopped growing when he got out of the womb.
well, probably. But it's just he's too lightweight, and it is starting to tell that if he's not capable of, and you say if he's not, he can't perform against PSG. He can't perform against fucking Amiens. It's not just PSG. He will have 1 out of 5 games. He'll be good because the opposition will give him time and space on the ball, which is what Strasbourg did last week because they're poor. And they made him look better than he is, and that is going to be the story of his career. Is that he's going to play against teams who will give him time, and that's when he'll look good.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
Which is why I won't be as harsh as you guys. I think, which is why I brought up the question last week. I think we have a large enough sample size now about Lopez. He will progress when he's older, but I think he'll probably get better, but his traits will stay the same. Where if we play teams that are on level or below us, I think Lopez will shine in the midfield. But if we play teams that will physically bring a challenge and technically will be a class above us, like PSG, like Lyon, like Lille to a certain extent, and like Monaco, I think we know better than to play him at least as a starter, and we seem to make the same mistake over and over again. No?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
I agree with his assessments.
On that note, let's move on to the front three. We didn't even mention Germain last week. Are you okay with doing the same? Is there anything to talk about?
I think he went early on when we were getting pegged back, and we were just trying to somehow find a way of playing it out from the back. Whenever Mandanda cleared the ball, he won quite a few of his early headers early on, but after that, he was gone. And even the one thing that you usually praise about him is his effort and his sort of defensive work, and even that he just looks like he seemed to have a sort of fuck it attitude where he probably saw the first 2 goals and thought, what's the fucking point? If Bruno's going to be as shit as he is, why should I even track back? This game's lost. Fuck it, I might as well stay up front and try and be an outlet of some sort. But it's Germain, we know him now.
All right, that was my minute of silence for Germain's career at OM. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace indeed.
If you have anything to mention, Ed, you can talk about Germain and then lead us to Payet as well.
Germain, Mr. Sitter, that any other top striker who is a bit taller could have hit.
It wasn't a sitter though. It was not a
Oh,
sitter.
come on. Any top striker could have nailed that in the top corner.
Nah.
Oh, come on. Even Troy Deeney could have scored that.
No way,
Oh,
mate.
come
Nah.
on. Really? This
It
guy
wasn't a
is-
sitter. It was a good chance, but it wasn't a sitter.
It was
a good chance.
his weak foot. It was bouncing. He hit it on the shin. Like it wasn't a sitter. Like they're talking about the Madrid game.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the chance he had against Atletico, where he was clean for on goal and he missed the target somehow. It's nothing to this. You can't compare it to that.
Are you guys smoking crack? It was a sitter. For goodness sake.
I think the ball. It was a good ball. It wasn't a sitter.
Areola was crapping himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the big elephant in the room, and he is a sizable elephant at the moment, Dimitri Payet. What a shocking performance. That free kick he put in was terrible. He was nothing last night. He was awful. It's like he had decided at half-time, he thought, well, we're 4-0 down. I might as well just go off to a French taco restaurant, starve myself out, eat about 6,000 of them, clean out the entire restaurant, come back and just put in something that I would do on a walk around the field when I'm walking my dogs. Because that was just slow performance. It was like waiting for a bus at rush hour at 7 o'clock at night, at 5 o'clock at night. It was just terrible. This guy is supposed to be captain. This guy that we lost our shit when he arrived back from West Ham. In the 2 years he's been here, he's been underwhelming. He has failed. He has eaten like a pig. And he has not, for me, delivered on the money that we paid for him. This guy,
at least he's contributed to the local economy. That's the positive, isn't he?
contributed to Uber Eats' sales in France. Yes, maybe.
I mean, he's not. I mean, I think people need to stop with that, with saying that he has not given us the money that we paid for. He's led us to a Europa League final. In and out of itself, he's paid. For me, he's paid like the 30 million that we paid for him.
Yeah, we paid 30 million to lose 3-0 against Madrid.
30 million in today's game, in today's transfer market for a playmaker at the level he was when we signed him back. He was smashing it in the Premier League.
For me, besides leading us to the Champions League, which is ultimately the goal, he's led us to an incredible European adventure, and he's been inconsistent, but he has, over the stretch of the last 2 years, he has strung probably an average of the whole year's worth of high level, international level play, and I think people need to stop with this narrative of saying that we're not getting the 30 million that we paid for. We have gotten the 30 million that we paid for, and now we're stuck with the reality of a 31-year-old man who's he's not overweight anymore. I think that's speaking badly.
Okay, I was a bit harsh calling him overweight. I do apologise.
No, but I think aside from that, I think we have had our money's worth for Payet.
That's the problem. We've had it, and for me, it's done. That's it. There's nothing more to expect from him. He will shine occasionally. He will do his stats where he'll probably get between 6 and 10 assists a season in the next 2 or 3 years. He will not produce what we saw him produce in that season where we had the run to the European Cup final, and everybody in the summer was like hyping him up, like, oh, Euro 2020, there's maybe a place for him in the France squad if he buckles up and he goes. He's past it. He's over the hill. He's on the decline. And it's just the way it is, and that is going to be a big problem for us in the next 2 years because his wages are huge. He seems to be happy, just cruising along now.
And we don't have the players to force him on the bench either. He seems to be a perennial starter.
Yeah. Do you think, this is a question for you two, do you think Didier Deschamps, who was sitting there last night probably with a glass of wine watching the game, do you really think he would pick him for the Euro 2020 squad?
No, there's not a single chance because Deschamps is already showing the weakness that all of the world champions have shown in the past, which is basically stick with your winning squad unless they've got an injury or significant bad attitude. So you have to be magnificent to break and steal a spot from one of those World Cup champion. And I think Payet knows as well that he's incapable of climbing that mountain. So I think there's no chance.
Yeah, and France play the same system we do, and if that means that first of all, that means there's no place for a number 10 in that system. And secondly, there are so many players that are ahead of him in the pecking order. Dembele, Kingsley Coman, they are just 10 times better than he is at the minute, but also in terms of potential. They just offer something to the table, which is pace, crossing ability, and I think the one thing that we all thought that he had, which was world class, that is completely gone now, was his set piece ability. But that's done. It's gone. When's the last time he put in a good corner or a good free kick on target and scored a goal from it? It's probably over a year ago now.
Yeah, well, for that we need the referee to actually give us the free kicks.
But I think the ref was fine last night. I didn't see any issues at all with the refereeing last night. For me, it was fine. No controversy at all.
Yeah, it was no problem. Just standard.
Fine. So let's move on to the final player. We'll talk about Benedetto. We're a bit short for time, so I'll give you guys the floor if you want to talk about Benedetto. Ed, what did you think about his performance? You have mentioned it, you have covered it a little bit, but give us a bit of in-depth.
I just thought it was a bit rubbish. Mind you, just had an off night, and all strikers do. Like, what is the real Benedetto? The one who scores great goals against Saint-Etienne, or the ones who, like last night, just didn't turn up?
And he was hyped up to be that man who rises up to big occasion.
Yeah, everyone was saying, okay, he might be. It's going to be a big match between him and Icardi in the battle of the Argentinian strikers. I didn't see much from Benedetto. He looked like he was scared. I don't want that from my striker. I don't want that from a guy who I do believe, and I still do believe, that he is a good player. He is a good striker, but he has got to have more fight in him. You know, he's played in the biggest game in world football, Boca River Plate. He never shied away from that. He never shied away from putting the River Plate defenders under pressure. I know it's different quality, but he put the ball in the back of the net when he was playing in those situations when you got 50, 60,000 screaming fans who would happily kill each other. You know, he never showed any weakness. But last night he was weak as a kitten. And he's got to be more consistent. He's got to be more consistent. I'm not going to be harsh on him. I'm not going to be harsh on him because I know he didn't have much delivery. But he's got to do a lot better. He's got to be more confident. He's got to say to his players, come on, give me the ball. We've got a chance here. If you're not delivering, if you're not perking up, we might as well just go home. Because
Go ahead.
Go on, you
finish off. But it's just that, I'll go on. He's starved of service. He's isolated. We're asking him to do a job, which is what we've asked of Germain and we've asked of Mitroglou, which is go up top by yourself and hope for the best. Hopefully you'll get some balls in the box, mate. You can't play in a system like that, whether it's PSG or anyone, and leave your number 9 completely isolated. And Garcia did it for too long, and now AVB's doing it, which is over-reliant on them to create something or hold the ball up and play someone else in, which, let's face it, Benedetto's been very good at this season. He's picked up a few key passes for his teammates in the last few games and set up a few scoring chances for others. But he can't do that all the time. We can't put the burden on that striker to create something for himself. And yes, you mentioned he played Boca River. Look at the players he's had around him at Boca. You know, they were a team who was foot on the gas. One of the best teams in South America. They play football and they were giving him ball after ball after ball. And that's, for me, he's on I wouldn't say same level, but he's similar profile to Icardi. A fox in the box. You give him the ball in the right position, he will score it 9 times out of 10. But look at the number of chances Di Maria and Mbappe created for Icardi last night. And the way they combine, we are not capable of doing that. Our front three have never been able to combine in the last 3 years the way that PSG's did in 20 minutes last night, because they're not good enough. It's just not compatible, but also, I think, systemic from a system point of view, tactically again, because you don't give the ball to him in the right position, you can't expect him to create a miracle. And that's the main difference between Icardi's performance and his last night. If you give him the chances Icardi had last night, he'd score the goals as well. Of course he'd bury them. But the fact is, he's not getting the balls. And as a team, we're not at that level. We're not producing that football or putting him in that situation. And that's the analysis of him, full stop. We'll see in the next 2 games. I think he'll get a goal in one of the next 2 games. But again, if we don't try... And again, as we discussed, Payet comes back, everybody's expecting him to be the miracle maker who's going to pick out 3 assists a game for Benedetto. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, right. So I think we'll move on. I don't need to give my opinion on it. I think Benedetto yesterday was a complete victim of Villas-Boas' system, where he was completely alone and starved of the ball. So I think we'll probably move on. We'll do just the usual takeaway, but I'll be a bit stricter on you guys. I will ask you to keep to the short, the usual 30 seconds, because we are a little bit rushed for time. I'll start with you, Ben, actually, because you just talked. So you probably already warmed up.
I'll do 10 seconds.
What's your takeaway from yesterday?
We cannot. I hope AVB has understood. You can't approach the next 2 games in the way you approached the game last night, whether it's tactically or whether it's from a personnel point of view, and that's what I mean by the boys he puts on the pitch. He can't approach the next 2 games, because it will be similar results or similar performances where we look clueless and we don't create chances.
All right, Ed, what's yours?
The next few games are going to be the time for real leaders to stand up and take action, because we have to go for these. We have got to beat Lyon. We have got to beat Lyon. In the immortal words of John Major, it's time to put up or shut up, and that is how I think we need to play. If you're not going to turn up, if you're not going to give a grind, if you're not going to perk up, just stay in your locker room and just sit there while we go and try and get the 3 points. That's how I want to see this team play. Turn up, fight for every kick, every ball, every chance must be in our favour. We have got to keep this going now, because this is the crucial point. Forget what happened yesterday. We've got to move on. We've got to go on and beat Lyon. We've got to beat Lyon, and we've got to get the 3 points against every little team that we play, because right now we are in the shit.
All right, cool. And then, so my takeaway is just, I think I highlighted this a few weeks ago, but I think, and I'm sad to say it, but I think this is as good or as bad as it's going to get for the rest of the season. I think we're going to miss out on Champions League football yet again, for many reasons. There are some mitigating circumstances. We don't have Payet. It's probably going to be out for the better part of the year. We have had injuries, had suspensions. We are lacking depth, but we're also lacking creativity from both off the field and on the field, and it's clearly costing us. And I don't see a way that it's going to get better. Whether it's from transfers in the winter window, because we clearly don't have the financial efforts to do that. Whether it's from firing a coach, which is not possible because we paid so much for him. So I think we're going to continue on this trend until the rest of the season, and we're going to miss out on Champions League yet again. Right, so I think we might just get over the next game on Wednesday, Monaco, Marseille, and then on Sunday we've got Marseille against Lille, because I believe, Ben, you want to talk a little bit about McCourt, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we know the next games what they are. We've discussed it at length in the last few weeks. So, if we played like last night, we're fans. That's the message for the next 2 games.
Yeah.
McCourt, can you imagine the guy? So he's sitting next to Hero in the stands last night, and you're 4-0 down before half time, and you must, if I'm him, I'm looking at Hero going, what the fuck is this? So what is going on? So apparently he's going to stick around for the game against Lille as well. So what is going on? Why is he now suddenly reappeared when? Yes, you can imagine it's probably for the the stardom and the fact it's the big games and all.
It's got nothing to do with football. Why he's here?
Of course, and that's what concerns me the most, is that he's completely fucking absent when it's going to shit. And he reappears when there's big games, and he seems to just pop into the stadium, enjoy the free cocktails, and then fuck off back to the States again. And we all complained about Margarita Louis-Dreyfus and about Robert Louis-Dreyfus to an extent at the time, but at least they were always there, and they were on the ground in the city, going to the games and being present and staying involved actively. And you sort of wonder. Well, you don't wonder. We know what his game is. He's there for the property. He's in Marseille to get the Parc Château and to expand his property empire. But that is major concern, because it's not what we were promised. It's not. Look, our opening fucking jingle, his statement is, "We're here for the OM Champions project." What the fuck, mate? There is no OM Champions project. There's no OM project, full stop. Because of him and because of Hero. And we've got two absolute clowns in charge who do not care about football. They clearly don't have a clue or give a shit about what's going on the pitch. And that really, really concerns me, because it looks like another stopgap before hopefully he sells the club on in 2, 3, 5 years, who knows, and we get someone serious in who does give a shit.
Ed, any nice word of poetry for our owner?
We always say that we're going to get someone serious. I mean, did anyone really believe we'd win another Champions League with McCourt?
Or at least appear in it.
Well, hang on a minute. I mean, Tappy was the first one to perk up and say he's only investing 80 million. That's too low. And I feel we haven't had a proper owner who's delivered everyone's demands since Tappy. I know I hero worship him and rave about him and think he's the best thing since sliced bread. But the guy did deliver success, and he delivered in a big way. McCourt just doesn't seem like he can do it. And Ero is a puppet. Ero is just someone who sits there, puts on a straight face and goes, well, we've got a new jeans company in to put this limited range that no one in Marseille can afford. Or the average Joe, because it'll be priced about £300 for a pair of undersized jeans that not even Helena Christensen could fit in. But of course, it's good publicity. They just don't seem interested. They seem like, oh, we've got to go. We just have to be there, because if we don't, Canal Plus are going to be swirling on us like ants, wondering what's going on. What is the point of this project? What is the real end goal? To look like clowns, to finish sixth, to get into the Europa League playoff and then lose somewhere like, I don't know, Steaua Bucharest?
Well,
What's
I think
going on?
football is very much secondary at this point to the direction, and this which is why I'm campaigning against Zubizarreta leaving, because he's revolutionizing our youth academy, and it's the only resemblance of football and of good news that we've had in the last 3 years of ownership.
Yeah, I seldom agree with that. If Zubi leaves, the ship sinks, because McCourt, who knows probably nothing about football, probably never watched the game before he bought Marseille, will probably sit there and think, right, I've got no one here that I know. I'll have to just bring in some yes man that Ero's recommended, who he somehow probably met on a cocktail party in, I don't know, Paris in 2006. Brings him in, we then fall apart, we go down, and then we just finish 14th every season. But there's nothing there. There's no footballing brains. I mean, McCourt, I'll add another point. McCourt has history. He did wreck the LA Dodgers. And fans were protesting outside the ground on game day. This is going to happen to us.
It certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
We're going to fall. We are his next wipeout point. At the moment, we are screwed. We are going to be LA Dodgers 2.0, but on an industrial style scale of embarrassment, lack of finance, lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Lack of investment. The way he's going, he just doesn't look interested. He just looks like he wants to be somewhere else. He looks like he would rather be up Mont Ventoux on a bicycle in the burning hot weather, riding up this bloody mountain. But it's like trying, with McCourt, it's almost like he's trying to rock horseshit up Alpe d'Huez. It's not happening. But he's not helped with the fact that Barrow has been supplied by Monsieur Hérault, who is clearly flogged him for a stack of dollars.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because Garcia's taken Hérault and Zubi for a ride, and clearly Hérault's taken fucking McCourt for a ride. So
yeah,
it's not, you sort of look at it, don't you? And you go, who the fuck's in charge there? Who's gonna wake up and smell the bacon and go, this smells like shit?
They need more than bacon, mate. They need weed, they need coffee, they need the most foul-smelling cheese on earth to recognise, hang on a minute, something's not right. And poor Villas-Boas, I know we keep... Let's not discard the fact that he was awful last night as manager, and his tactics were all wrong. But he's got a gun to his head. He makes one point out that this is not right. He will be sacked, and we will have yes men.
You know what he's been doing? Yeah, but he's been doing that. He has been openly critical of them. He reminds me a little bit of Bielsa in his approach sometimes, where he's gone, "Hey, well, I know there's no money, and clearly there's been some fucked up investments in the past which have put the club in this situation." And he said it the other day. He said, "God help us if we don't get third place, because what is going to happen to this team?"
Yeah.
I'm sure that's got to be a message to the board. Spend now, or we're screwed.
Can you imagine someone like him? He's walked into the club, and he's looking at it. The guy's been at Chelsea, he's been at Porto, he's been at Tottenham, he's been at proper football clubs, and ignoring his record, he's been at proper clubs with structure and leadership. But he was walked into this shit show, and he must be waking up in the morning going, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Yeah.
Well, he's been at places like Zenit, which have been having have a never-ending sum of money. If he wanted to play it, the owners just said, "Yeah, fine, no problem. We'll try and make a purchase." But he's now going to go in, and he's going to try and ask, "I fancy this player here and here." And they go, "Well, hang on a minute. We haven't got any money, mate. We're still paying for Payet's wages. We're still paying for Streetman's wages."
No,
Yes.
you don't need him. You've got Jordan and Harvey. You don't need the left back, Andrew.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Don't remind me of him.
All right, guys. So I'll give you final words, and then we're gonna cut off the podcast if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, cool. Go ahead.
Are you alright?
Well, what final words are there? What final words?
Well,
are
my
there?
final
Guys,
word,
that's-
and I'll probably
You
end
go
on this,
for it.
is that I'm not sure if you saw, but towards the end of the game, there was this interesting young player that came on the pitch. What was his name? Jordan Amavi? He looks like a
he
nice
must be a
little
new
nifty
signing.
left back, doesn't he?
Yeah, he must be a new signing.
It must be a new
On a
signing.
serious note, Male Ake, I reckon he should be starting on Wednesday because Benedetto's suspended.
Yeah.
It's a cup game. The guy's got a good record in the reserves. I want to see him get some game time, and I want to see what he can do.
Exactly, I would too. Right, well, on that note, we'll probably leave you there.
Hang on a minute. You haven't heard from me.
Oh, go on.
Mate, last word. I think,
Have you not spoken enough?
shut up, Lucas. I think we need to play more of the reserves tomorrow. In the midweek. It's a
2
big
days
chance, really. We can push on for the League Cup. I never thought to say this because I think the League Cup's a waste of time. But we need more of those reserves in, and they need to show themselves that they are worthy. Because right now, the established players are not doing a good enough job. We need these youngsters to turn up, and so far, I think they've got a good chance. If they can play all right, if they can keep their heads, they keep calm, we should have no problem against Monaco. I really do.
All right, okay, cool. So thank you very much, guys. We hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. A lot of things that we talked about, from the PSG game to kind of the wider situation. We seem to always talk about the wider situation, but we talked a bit more in depth about my court and the situation with Aero and a bit of our concerns. We hope you enjoyed it, and we're not going to see you again on Wednesday after the Monaco game because we don't do midweek podcasts. But we will see you after the Marseille-Lille game, where we'll talk about the Lille game, and we'll probably mention some flashbacks of the Monaco game, hopefully after a cup win, and maybe giving us hope of winning one final Coupe de la Ligue trophy before it gets scrapped. On that note,
It's Halloween. It's Halloween, Lucas. It's not April Fool's, mate. Don't go believing we're going to win both the next games, mate.
Damn it. Trust me, I have no hopes that we're going to win it. If someone in the world that doesn't believe in Villas-Boas, it's me, along with all the Tottenham fans and all the Chelsea fans and all the Zenit fans and all the Shanghai fans. So, thank you very guys for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to follow our Marseille View Twitter page. And then follow our speakers. So we've got Ben at Immortal Wombat 91, Ed, which is Ed Spencer's 1996, and yours truly, OM Magic Johnson, on Twitter. So thank you very much.
99,
and,
mate. 99, mate, not 96.
99.
Self-promotion, mate.
I gave Ed 3 years old, but I mean, Yeah, so Ed Spencer, 1999. Thank you very much for watching,
Take care,
and
guys.
see you next
Cheers,
thanks, everyone.
Monday.
Yeah, cheers, bye.
All right, cheers, guys. Bye.